on World News Tonight. Lethal attacks. Russia is not easing its hold on the trigger as more and more areas of Ukraine fall victim to its military efforts. However, it seems the conflict may soon be even more grim than expected with civilian-focused attacks. Crisis control. Europe picks up the pieces as waves of citizens who lost their homes are now flooding neighboring nations. The refugee count skyrocketing. Despite this, there may be hope of a home for the affected. Retaliating Russia. Commercial giants and world leaders alike hope Russia feels the economic squeeze as companies move away from the functioning in the country, with the United States rejecting Russia's oil deals, prompting warnings from the nation. And Chanel charm. Tweed is in as a fashion giant's latest lineup, ready fashionably for fall.
This is Derana World News Tonight. Reporting from Colombo, here is Anuradhi Vikramasinghe.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us on World News Tonight. We begin tonight's broadcast with some grim updates on the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Amidst all the accusations being hurled at Russia, this may be the worst of the lot, as the country is now being held responsible for attacks on civilians, ranging from lethal convoys to even air raids that target concentrated areas.
The threat of American and allied sanctions did not deter President Putin from launching this invasion. And new sanctions today show no sign of stopping it. Russia stepped up its strikes, hitting homes, killing civilians. In the northern city of Sumy, rescuers combed through rubble for survivors overnight. Ukraine says 2 children were among the dead. Russia is also devastating the suburb of Irpin on the edge of Kiev, driving thousands into the capital. Those coming out of Irpin today were shell-shocked. Andrei walked out with his cat Simba. He shared videos he recorded of a Russian tank below his window and another Russian vehicle on fire. Tonight, a senior U.S. defense official says despite Ukrainian resistance, including shooting down some Russian jets, Russia still has 95% of its combat power intact. Across Kiev, residents are bracing for a Russian onslaught. Miro Popovich served in the U.S. military and fought in Afghanistan. Now he's defending his hometown.
Meanwhile, citizens of Ukraine are pouring out of the war-torn country by the million. The newest record of refugee influx has marked a whopping 2 million displaced citizens, including helpless children that are now in countries like Poland.
2 million refugees have escaped Ukraine. Half of them are children. And so many still trapped in the east, in crippled cities like Mariupol. Why shouldn't I cry, she says. I'm so sad about the people, the city, the children. Lviv, known as Ukraine's capital of culture, is now the capital of refugees. 25-year-old Alyona Yevtushenko and others are now calling this aerobic studio home. She fled from Kyiv. Days of living in a bomb shelter became too much. She's grateful her mother and 8-year-old brother are with her, but they all want to know, when can they go back? Ukrainians and the world praying for that safe return.
EU Home Affairs Commissioner Ylva Johansson spoke to the European Parliament as the European Union has taken in 2 million refugees fleeing Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Meanwhile, criminal probes are also being conducted on Russia's war crimes. Let's cross over to Derana World News special correspondent Prashani Rodrigo from Helsinki in Finland for more. Prashani.
Yes, Anuradhi. The Commissioner said to the European Parliament that this conflict will not be over soon as Russian President Vladimir Putin is fighting the war without remorse, restraint or mercy, and also warned that even worse is to come. She insisted that millions more will flee and the bloc must welcome them. The UN Refugee Agency UNHCR said the number of people to have fled Ukraine in the Eastern and Central Europe reached 2 million amid renewed efforts to create safe evacuation corridors from cities under attack. Thousands of Ukrainian refugees have come to the Polish border city of Przemysl to flee the ongoing Russian-Ukraine conflict. At a border station, evacuation trains from Ukrainian cities of Kiev, Odessa and Lviv carrying flocks of women, children and elderly run non-stop. In the midst of this, Germany's federal prosecutor has opened a probe into suspected war crimes by Russian troops since the invasion of Ukraine, amid international outrage over attacks on civilians and critical infrastructure. Meanwhile, the European Commission has revealed plans to reduce European Union member states' dependency on Russian energy sources. The EU's executive arm said it could erase a huge share of its dependency on Russia by tapping new gas supplies, ramping up reserves for the next winter, and accelerating efforts to be more energy efficient. Back to you, Anuradhi.
All right, thank you. That was Other Than a World News special correspondent Prashani Rodrigo from Helsinki in Finland. A surprising offer has been shot down by the United States. Poland has offered to move 5 of its high-end fighter jets to Germany in an attempt to assist the war. However, the United States opted for a more diplomatic approach, refusing the military aid.
The U.S. rejected a surprise offer from its NATO ally Poland on Tuesday to transfer fighter jets to an American base in Germany in the hopes of bolstering Ukraine's air force. Washington turned down Poland's foreign ministry after it had announced it was ready to deploy its MiG-29 jets to Ramstein Air Base in Germany and put them at the disposal of the United States. Warsaw also urged other members of the NATO alliance to do the same. Victoria Nuland, a top U.S. diplomat, said the Polish proposal caught Washington by surprise. She told the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, quote, "To my knowledge, it wasn't pre-consulted with us that they planned to give these planes to us." The U.S. has sought to speed weapons deliveries to Ukraine, but the Pentagon said flying NATO combat aircraft into the war zone raises serious concerns for the entire alliance. That's what Pentagon spokesperson John Kirby said on Tuesday. He responded to Poland's offer on Twitter, saying, quote, "It is simply not clear to us that there is a substantive rationale for it. We will continue to consult with Poland and our other NATO allies about this issue and the difficult logistical challenges it presents, but we do not believe Poland's proposal is a tenable one." Russia warned this week that countries offering airfields to Ukraine may be considered a declaration of war. NATO has said it does not want direct conflict with Russia, and the White House has ruled out sending troops into Ukraine to fight. However, the U.S. military announced it would reposition forces to Poland proactively to counter any threat to NATO allies.
As the world rallies against Russia, it seems the country may be feeling the squeeze from the failing economy, as Russia has begun taking countermeasures to keep afloat, while also warning that the economic duress is not favorable to other countries in the future.
We're banning.
Just hours after President Biden announced his ban on Russian oil, President Putin unveiling restrictions on imports and exports tonight to ensure the safety of the Russian Federation. It's not clear what goods or countries are targeted. Before the US announcement, the Russian Deputy Prime Minister saying rejecting Russian oil would lead to catastrophic consequences for the global market and warning Russia could cut gas supplies to Europe. Today, the European Union did not join the US ban, but did propose gaining independence from Russian fossil fuels by 2030. Europe imports 45% of its gas from Russia and 25% of its oil, while Russian oil and gas revenues reached $119 billion in 2021, according to Russia's finance ministry. Today, the leaders of Germany and France spoke with China's President Xi.
Let's take a short commercial break. You're watching World News. Welcome back to World News Tonight. More commercial giants are bowing out from the initiator of the conflict. Major companies such as Coca-Cola and Starbucks have officially closed down businesses in Russia, aiming to prevent indirect support to replenishing the country's military budget.
McDonalds, Pepsi, Coca-Cola and Starbucks on Tuesday stopped doing sales in Russia as a rebuke for the war on Ukraine. It's a sudden U-turn for the companies, all of which have major operations in Russia and all of which have faced mounting pressure to temporarily pull the plug. McDonald's closed 847 restaurants, but said it would continue paying salaries to its 62,000 employees in Russia. Paul Musgrave, a political scientist at the University of Massachusetts, Amherst, so the move carried symbolic weight.
When McDonald's moved into the Soviet Union, it was part of a message of opening up and building trust and cooperation between Russia and the West. And now those avenues have all been closed off.
Starbucks is also putting the close sign on hundreds of stores, while Pepsi and Coke announced a raft of suspensions. Pepsi will continue to sell essential products like milk and baby food in Russia. Still, they're joining an exodus of global brands like Adidas, Estee Lauder and Calvin Klein, along with energy giants Shell, BP and ExxonMobil, dealing a blow to Russian President Vladimir Putin and the country's economy.
The Ukraine-Russia conflict has garnered the attention of the entire globe. However, the dynamic of the status quo may be changing soon, as even President Xi Jinping of China has called for restraint in Ukraine as they are pained to see such conflict.
Chinese President Xi Jinping came out with his strongest statement yet regarding Russia's invasion of Ukraine, calling for maximum restraint and saying he is, quote, pained to see the flames of war reignited in Europe, Chinese state media reported Tuesday. Xi spoke at a virtual meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and, according to China's CCTV, said the three countries should jointly support peace talks between Russia and Ukraine to prevent the conflict from, quote, spinning out of control.
En tant que membre permanent du Conseil de sécurité,
Macron in the meeting reminded Xi of the role that China must play as a member of the UN Security Council. China has refused to condemn Russia's actions outright and last month abstained from a Security Council vote seeking to condemn Russia's aggression against Ukraine and demand it withdraw its forces. China has also referred to Western sanctions against Russia as illegal, and in the meeting, Xi expressed concern over the impact sanctions may have on the stability of global finance, energy supplies, transportation, and supply chains. The friendship between China and Russia strengthened last month when Russian President Vladimir Putin attended the opening ceremony of the Beijing Winter Olympics on the same day that the two countries declared a no-limits strategic partnership. But that relationship has become awkward for China as the war in Ukraine escalates. CIA Director William Burns told the House Intelligence Committee on Tuesday that he thinks Xi and others among China's leadership are unsettled by what they're seeing in Ukraine. Meanwhile, Macron's office said in a statement that Xi expressed support for French-German efforts to reach a ceasefire. And a German government spokesman said the three leaders agreed that their foreign ministers would coordinate further efforts to end the conflict.
China's State Council and Foreign Minister Wang Yi called on Japan to keep the bilateral relations on the right track, urging efforts to advance the ties in a peaceful and friendly direction. We have other Derana World News special correspondent Anjali Vijayratne from Fukuoka in Japan for more. Anjali?
Yes, Anuradhi. At a press briefing on the sidelines of the 5th session of the 13th National People's Congress in Beijing, Wang reviewed the China-Japan relations in the past 5 decades, saying the exchanges and cooperation between the two countries have brought tangible benefits to the two peoples. Wang stated that this year marks the 50th anniversary of normalization of diplomatic ties, which also presents an important opportunity for the two sides to review history and shape the future together. Over the past 5 decades, the expanding exchanges and cooperation have brought important benefits to both countries. Last year, the country leaders reached an important understanding on building bilateral relationships for the new era, charting the future course for the two countries. Noting China-Japan relations still face some differences and challenges, Wang proposed a 3 Ps advice for the development and bilateral ties. Wang insisted that the countries cherish the original aspiration and keep the bilateral relations on the right track while not posing any threat to each other and supporting each other's peaceful environment. The Japan's strained relationship with China continues to be at alarm amidst conflict in Ukraine. Back to you, Anuradhi.
All right, thank you. That was other than the World News special correspondent Anjali Vijayratne from Fukuoka in Japan. Now on to the look at the updates on the January 6 Capitol riot as the former head of the Proud Boy group was arrested.
Former Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio has been arrested and charged with conspiracy for his role in planning the January 6, 2021 assault on the U.S. Capitol, according to federal prosecutors. Terrio appeared virtually in a Miami-based federal court hearing from a cell block in a nearby local jail. He told the judge he has absolutely no savings and that he only recently got a job printing t-shirts. Terrio is one of the most high-profile people criminally charged for their roles in the attack on the Capitol by supporters of then-President Donald Trump. Although Terrio did not storm the Capitol with some of the other Proud Boys, prosecutors say he nonetheless continued to direct and encourage his fellow Proud Boys members during the riots. He also allegedly claimed credit for what happened on social media, as well as through an encrypted chat room. Thousands of people stormed the Capitol on January 6, 2021, after a fiery speech in which Trump falsely claimed his election defeat was the result of widespread fraud. In the first criminal case stemming from that day to go before a jury, Guy Reffitt, a Texas man, was found guilty Tuesday on all 5 of the felony charges he faced for his role in the attack, in a milestone victory for federal prosecutors. Terrio is charged with conspiring to obstruct an official proceeding, a felony charge that many Capitol rioters are facing. It can carry up to 20 years in prison on conviction.
Apple is upping their tech game as the technology giant introduced major upgrades such as 5G connectivity, among other tweaks to its more affordable iPhone lineups, including other high-end devices.
Apple's low-end iPhone is getting an upgrade, along with a few other products. Apple on Tuesday added 5G connectivity to its low-cost iPhone SE and iPad Air, and introduced a faster chip for a new desktop, a high point in Apple's move to power its devices with microprocessors designed in-house. Apple CEO Tim Cook.
The new iPhone SE brings the advanced features and exceptional performance of A15 to our most affordable iPhone. It's going to be great for existing iPhone users who want a highly capable and compact iPhone, and for new users who want to experience iPhone for the first time.
Apple slightly hiked the price on the iPhone SE to $429 from $399 for the previous model. The new iPhone starts shipping March 18th. The iPhone SE comes with an A15 Bionic chip, which Apple says is the fastest among competition. Apple also introduced a new monitor, the Studio Display, which can be paired with any Mac, including the MacBook Air and MacBook Pro models. That is priced at $1,599. And the iPad Air also got an upgrade, with Apple's M1 chip that was developed for laptops. The company, which has been broadening its services in other products, also said its Apple TV Plus product would begin showing Major League Baseball games on Friday nights. The weekly doubleheader will be available in 8 countries. Now, it just needs the baseball season to actually start.
Welcome back to World News Tonight. For more news, let's take you around the world in a minute. British singer Ed Sheeran denied that he simply altered other artists' music and words to pass their work off as his own, as he gave evidence in a copyright trial over his 2017 chart-topping hit Shape of You. South Koreans headed to polls to elect the country's next president, capping a race that has been marked by a series of surprises, scandals and smear campaigns. The winner of the election will face mounting challenges, including deepening inequality and surging housing prices that have strained Asia's 4th largest economy. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison declared a national emergency for devastating flooding in the country's east coast, as authorities took to deploy aid and urgent supplies to the worst-hit areas. 7 North Koreans, 6 of them soldiers, have been voluntarily repatriated after they were taken into South Korean custody when their boat crossed over the maritime border. The Defense Ministry made the announcement earlier today, saying they had crossed the border by mistake and because of mechanical problems with their boat. And that's all the news we got for you tonight. Join us again tomorrow for more news around the world. In case you missed any of the stories we had tonight, you can rewatch by catching us on our YouTube page, youtube.com/OtherThanEnglish. We're leaving you tonight with a look into a runway as Chanel took a tweed-lined stage for its fall collection, sending models filing through a dark carpeted runway. Thank you for watching. Good night.